Hey, you guys, welcome back to Angela. And on this podcast, I wanted to talk to you guys about narcissist and sex addiction and basically turning a hoe into a housewife. So, you know, the narcissist is the type of person that is driven by addiction. You can get addicted to anything. You can get addicted to drinking coffee. You can get addicted to working out. You can get addicted to many things if you keep doing these things over and over again, and it fuels you, it gives you some type of satisfaction. You can get addicted to food. You can get addicted to many things. It's about having good addictions that are going to help you in the long run, not unhealthy addictions. And as we know, the narcissists, they're toxic, they're unhealthy. Everything about their lifestyles are unhealthy. They don't have any type of boundaries, which gives the narcissist the ability to engage in a lot of criminal activities and illegal activities and drugs and many things. The narcissist is driven to have unhealthy boundaries and just unhealthy choices in life, based on their addiction for supply, their addiction to, triangulating people, their addiction to their flying monkeys, their addiction to telling stories, their addiction to lying pathologically, their addiction to breaking the rules, their addiction to, misleading people, their addiction to, just pornography or sex and things like that. The narcissist has many addictions. Their addictions come in many forms. Their pathological lying, them stealing. They do it so much that they'll steal at a store. You'll go to the store with them and they'll steal something very small, and it's not something big. And it doesn't discriminate, because this can be anyone, whether it's male or female or whatever religion you're into. Any human being can have an addiction, and the narcissist chooses unhealthy addiction. So with that being said, if someone is addicted to gaining supply, they're addicted to the power they have over that supply and what they can get out of that supply. They're addicted to being worshipped. They're addicted to being viewed as being great. They're addicted to people claiming that they're good sex partners. They think that they're the best lovers, even if they're not. They're addicted to oral sex. They're addicted to, just random things that you wouldn't even imagine, because the narcissist is a sex addict. I remember one time, I know I'm always telling these stories, but I'm telling, this stuff for educational purposes. But when I was younger, I was at a bus stop, on my way home, and some older, guy was wearing a veteran's hat, and he had pulled over and he had stuck his hand out the window, and his hand was sticky, and he was yelling at me, and not like in an aggressive way or anything, but he was like, "Hey," and then he threw $100 outside of his window, and he's like, "This is what you did to me." And then he put his hand out, and it was sticky right in between his fingers, like just a whole bunch of nasty cum. And that's something that I, looking back now to just dealing with a narcissist and realizing that they have sex addictions, this is the type of stuff that they're capable of doing, going in public, masturbating, all this stuff. Like, it's an addiction. And to let the person know after they made a mess and drive off, that's part of the addiction too. Thinking about it, he had asked me if I wanted a ride, and he told me where I was headed, and I was wearing a backpack and everything. And when I look back now, I realize how dangerous that situation was, because He was looking for someone vulnerable. He could have even been thinking like, this girl, maybe her parents, don't care. Like he was making up maybe assumptions in his mind, which is really dangerous, because if a narcissist finds a reason to feel like they have the right to do something to you, they will. Or maybe he thought because he threw that money out, I was going to get in the car because he asked me for a ride, but he could have been a serial killer. This is why I say that narcissists have sex addictions. And the difference, the reason that a male narcissist with an addiction would hate a woman is because they feel like the narcissist woman can get more out of men, and, they have to even rape sometimes to get that supply, or even kill. This is why even if you take the narcissist back and you tell them to slow down, they'll rape you and feel like they've had sex with you before. These people can even kill you because they're trying to get to that new source of supply, and that sex addiction, they're driven by it. The narcissist can look at supply, as supply to the point where they find you disposable. They're like, okay, I'm going to use you, and then I'm going to kill you, and then I'm going to dump you in the trash can. I'm going to get rid of you. I'm going to throw you away. I'm going to dispose of you. Or sometimes the deep hate for women or male will have them, collect a trophy to remind them of what they did to you. What's so sick about this is that I look back now at that time, like just the time that I was living in at that time. And I think about like the 80s, like when my parents, when people had beepers and there were payphones in the street and people were looking for payphones, looking for rides. And I think to myself, because I look back at, I've went online where I look at people that have died in my area years ago, or I'm just weird like that. Like I'll research people that died, people that went missing. And a lot of these people were like runaways, or people that needed a ride and didn't want to catch the bus, like stuff like that. Now we're living in times where, if you're talking to someone online, sometimes they can track the person that you were talking to last, but sometimes they don't have access to do that, or they can't get into your phone, or you were being secretive about where you were going, and no one has a clue where you went. You can literally meet someone and they weren't who they said that they were, or you can meet someone and they look young and you're being fooled because of how they look. You can even spend months or years talking to this predator over the phone, and they're like, I don't have anything but time. This is what I like doing. It's an addiction. There's women that do the same thing. They have sex with men, and then, not only do they have an addiction to this, but they need supply, and they'll have you robbed right after. It's true. They're addicted, and they get nastier and nastier as they get older because of their sex addiction. They start exploring. They're into men, they're into women because they're driven by sex. So eventually they don't care about morals or, boundaries. They don't care about respect. They don't care about any of those things. They don't care about love. So they'll hook you into their little sex world, just to get supply from you. Certain narcissists don't care about, whether you're a male or a woman. Eventually, their addiction takes over them in ways where they're going after children. They're going, it's just this nasty addiction to sex that escalates with pornography. This is why porn is considered bad, because it stimulates you in ways where you feel like you can just release yourself really quick. And the narcissist, there's someone who they're either going to have a porn addiction, or they're going to play out their fantasies in real life. Whatever fantasy they're watching, they're replaying because of their sex addiction. Whatever fantasy they keep replaying with people and with porn or these sex websites, OnlyFans, when they keep going to these type of things, they start playing out fantasies. And because they have an addiction, they're looking to get high. So they're like, I need to go through with this. I need someone to convince me to do this. I need to talk to someone. I need to go online. I need to see other people that are into the same things, and by them just watching it, it validates them to go do it. So it's like, it's like the narcissist, like making up a fight over anything, and then the fight, it doesn't really make sense, but they validated that to go cheat on you. So they can easily just be watching porn and playing out their fantasy, and that can easily trigger them to go play out that fantasy. And they'll sit there and start an argument, anything to leave the door, anything to leave, and when they come back in their mind, they feel like, I didn't do anything. It wasn't, I just had to, feed my addiction. I'm back to my regular self. I feel better again. And you're sitting here like, I just turned a hoe into a housewife. I just turned a hoe into a housewife. Someone who is willing to leave me, my children, for someone else, and they don't have any emotional connection to the new supply. But that addiction of just being able to get into someone's pants and playing out that fantasy, and it doesn't matter how they look. Sometimes you're like, this person's not even attractive, but it's just an addiction. And they don't look at it like it's something bad. They look at it like smoking a cigarette. Like, okay, I relieved myself, or they're getting this high when they're going from one supply to another. They're getting a high just by contacting you. When they hoover you and you're like, why are they hoovering me? They're not apologizing. They're not saying anything. They're acting like blood-sucking vampires. They're acting like zombies or something. They're just contacting me, asking me what I'm doing, like they didn't do anything to me. And there's no emotion. They don't want to talk about how you feel. They don't want to talk about what happened before. It's like, hey, I'm available if you are. And you're like, do you remember what you did to me? And they're like, oh, don't take it personal. I'm just like a sex addict, and I just used you as supply. I just used you to supply my needs, to supply my high. You were giving me supply every day. Now I found someone else. They're giving me supply, and they're able to supply me with maybe more things than you're able to. And it has nothing to do with attraction, because this person might even display some of the same characteristics or traits as you, either physically or just your empathy. They might have the same type of fuel. And so if you're telling them why them, they're kind of confused why you're even asking them that. Because to them, it's like, don't you see I don't care about anyone? I only care about feeding my addiction. It's more about the newness and what they can get from it. And they're like, I'll be back. Whether I have to go pay for it on the street, I'm not going to admit these things to you. If anything, I'm going to deny them, because I'm a pathological liar, and I'm addicted to lying too. That also gives me a high. So you're out of luck, because I'm getting high off getting supply. I'm getting high off lying to you. I'm getting high off triangulating people. This is an addiction. I have a problem. I can't stop. I can't make it stop. And it doesn't matter if I move on to another person. It doesn't matter if I have kids with someone else. It doesn't matter if I marry someone else. I still have this addiction, which means no one's going to get what you're seeking out of me. No one's going to get that. No one, because I want what I want, and I can't change it. And if someone knows that I'm in a relationship and they know about you, then why shouldn't I just go ahead with it? Because they know what's going on. They know about you, so it makes it okay. And maybe I should just be by myself, but I can't. I don't want to be alone, because it won't feed into my addiction. This is why I always say, when a narcissist tells you that, they're not dealing with anyone, they're lying. I've seen women like in the act where I'm looking at someone, and I have to stop being friends with them because I'm like, oh, I thought you were a nice girl. And then you're getting fooled by the look, by the image. She looks innocent, she's pretty, she's in shape, and you're getting fooled by how they look. And I'm thinking to myself, because these are the same type of women sometimes that even say, oh, I can't find a good man, or, I'm happy with him, but the reason I'm cheating is because he's not perfect, or I know that he's playing me too. So they have a way of validating why they're cheating with someone else. And you're looking at that woman like, dang, girl, like, I love my man. Like, I wouldn't just go and cheat on him just because he's doing it. Like, you're kind of shocked, like, how this woman tries to validate what she's doing to go and cheat, or she picks the wrong type of guys on purpose just to validate herself that she should just go and do this like it's normal. And it's a way that they put things together to make it seem like you're the bad person, but sometimes they pick people that they know they don't see a future with. This woman knows you're not a good person for her kids. She knows that. And it's mind effing, because some of these dudes get with these type of women and they're thinking to themselves, oh, she has kids, or she has a kid, and they're actually looking out for these type of women because they act like, the damsel in distress role, and they're good and they want to change their life. And it seems that way. It seems natural. You have to think about it. It seems natural. And some of these narcissist women just get low down men that are also narcissists just to stick around for sex. What's so crazy is that these women believe that they do want to have an authentic relationship with you. They believe that they do at first. And it's like, you can tell yourself there's no way that this woman is lying, but deep down, she's a hoe. But she wants to believe that she can change, and you give her the feeling of, this is going to be different. And she believes deep down inside that it is going to be different. And she starts to mimic the empath, and that's what gets the empath, hypnotized. And the moment that she finds something wrong with you, and a lot of times these are the type of women that are going through your things. They're looking for you to see if you're cheating. Like, they're trying to look for you to validate their reason to why they're going to start to cheat already. And they do the exact same thing that male narcissists do. They do the exact same thing. And that's why we live in a world of confusion where men, they don't trust women. Women, we don't trust men. And we just don't trust each other, because these women and these men get into these roles because of their sex addiction and their addiction to control people, their addiction to use people. They get into these relationships and they deceive people so much that we literally can't tell real from fake, because in the beginning, these women really, especially if they have the looks, they're very deceiving. They're cooking for you. They're doing everything perfect. They're like, I need to do everything this guy wants to keep him. I'm going to do whatever he wants me to do, or I'm going to go out of my way to just, it's almost really, to be honest with you, it's like they study you, and it's almost like they study you and they get your DNA, and they're like, okay, this is the type of guy that all he wants from a woman is for her to look beautiful. And I'm beautiful. I'm a catch. They're like, I'm beautiful. They're feeling good about themselves deep down, but they're coming off innocent to you. They have a baby face. They're coming off innocent, but inside they're having all these dialogues that they know they shouldn't have with you. And I've ran across these type of girls too. I just ran across someone recently, and I told her, me and her had like a little conversation, and I could just tell that she was the one doing all the thinking, and she knew that she felt like the guy she was messing with was dumb. And she had that look in her face, but that guy couldn't even tell. And I could tell she was a whole vampire, and he's so concerned with her looking innocent and cute that he's ignoring that look she has in her face. Like, she's playing like she's dumb. She's playing like she really doesn't get anything. She doesn't understand certain things. Like, these type of women, they play dumb with you. And they're not that dumb. They just play like they're dumb. They're really manipulative, just like the male narcissists. They really play dumb. I've talked to women where they fooled me, and I'm like, oh snap. Like, I've never been fooled by a narcissist man, because I got them down packed. But when I was being fooled by the women, those are the ones you overlook. And, you realize some of these women, they look so pretty, and you're thinking, if she doesn't have a chance, I don't have a chance. No, you have more of a chance than she does, because she's a hoe. That's what women don't understand, because men are too busy chasing after these type of women, and then they claim, oh, I got my heart broken. And then we're like, it's like the empaths are trying to find each other, but they can't, because most empaths are distracted by narcissist women, and most empathetic women are distracted by narcissist men. So, these, guys that end up with these type of women, they get their heart broken in ways that they feel like we don't understand, but we do, because we went through it too. But because they're looking at things through their perspective, they're thinking all girls like bad guys. And that's really not the case. The way we comes off like the narcissist woman. They'll think that we're them, because the narcissist woman plays the role of an empath really, really good. So they've studied women and how women act as well. These are chameleons. These are nasty spirits. So they'll look just like how the empath acts, emotional, crying, or, telling you not to leave. They'll act the same way, but they really don't mean it. Like, their tears don't mean anything. And it doesn't mean anything, because literally the next day they'll go back to playing you. They'll go back to, cheating or talking to people online or whatever. And that's what I realized, because I would think to myself when I would, hear certain men speak out, and I'm like, the way they describe these type of women, it's like it sounds like an empath, but then there's something wrong. There's something wrong. Just like the narcissist man, they come off like your soulmate, right? But then they do something that's off. And it brings a red flag, and you're thinking like, I'm gonna overlook it. It's not a big deal. You just overlook it. And when you get out of the relationship, you look back and you're like, oh, every time they did this, or they said this, or they said they were going here, they were cheating. And it's so hard to believe, especially when you spend a lot of time with these type of people. It's hard to believe that they have an addiction, a sex addiction, because they validate, they'll validate cheating, and they'll even say little things like, oh, I haven't had sex in a long time. And you're like, how long? And they're like, oh, 2 months. Red flag. Red flag. Like, they'll say 2 months, but they're lying. Think about it. Two months? Like, no, a narcissist, no, they're not waiting 2 months. If that was the case, they would be hoovering their last supply like crazy. If that was the case, they'll be hoovering you back to back to back to back to back till you give in. There's no way they'll go 2 months without talking to anyone. There's no way, because they have an addiction. They're addicted to people, to new supplies. And this is why I say, there's no loyalty with them. And what's so crazy about like narcissists is that they don't want you to cheat on them. That's the crazy part. They'll try to, catch you doing something to them, but they're lying about who they are. They're lying about how they feel. They're lying about their addiction. And not only are they lying, but then they get abusive, like they get really abusive, even financially abusive, these are like really sick people, like really, really sick. And I just don't believe that you can change someone that doesn't have any boundaries or doesn't have any morals. These are like people that, when you think about like when you're a teenager and you're going through a phase where you're going boy crazy, or you have like crushes and things like that, and you might make a couple of mistakes in life when you're young, but narcissists are the type of people that they got started, like they over sexualized themselves at a young age. They were probably sexually active, overly sexually active, and they never stopped. So they never got to a point where they're like, oh snap, I can get in trouble, or I can get pregnant, they never took the time to actually think about what can happen if you have multiple partners. And they, started off these behaviors as a young person, and as they got older, they didn't have any boundaries. No one told them no, so they continued. And even if anyone told them no, they were too far gone already. They were too far gone already, and this is a cycle that they continue as they get older, and it just becomes something that it's an addiction. It becomes normal to them. This is why they're able to lie about their body count. They're able to lie about, their sexual partners. They're able to get in relationships with people and not feel anything, because they've been doing it for so long that they're numb to it. Like, even when it comes to lying, like they've lied so much that now it's like it's not even second nature to them. It's first nature to them. It's who they are. It's not even like really, it's an addiction because they can't go without it. It's an addiction because even if the narcissist wanted to change, right? Even if they wanted to change for someone, and they have the perfect person, and I always tell you guys, it doesn't matter how much money you have, like, they're not going to change. They come off as loving you at first, especially if they don't have enough supply. They act like they really love you because you're all they have at that time, So, of course, they give you all of their time, and they probably even believe it themselves that they love you because you're feeding into their addiction. And this is why as soon as they get in a better position financially, they're gone. They're out of there because, and you're thinking like, why? I thought you cared about me, or I thought you loved me. And they're like, I did. And you're like, well, why are you acting like that? And they're like, I just don't love you no more. Like, people are allowed to not love anymore because their love is based on addiction. It's not like what you feel for them, or the way you view love and loyalty and friendship. They don't view it like that. It's just an addiction. It's just something they need to have. And while they have it, they love it. And when the supply isn't the type of supply that they need, they'll get rid of it. It's like a thing to them. It's like an object to them, so with, when they get with a new supply, if things are financially going wrong with them, if it's too much pressure, they'll still be there. with the supply, they're like, okay, financially they can't do anything for me. This person lost their house. They're living in a hotel for now until they find a new place or something, or they're living with their parent until they find something. The narcissist still has an addiction, so to them it's like, I'll go to your they don't care about ruining your life. They don't care about none of that. They're like, I need my supply. I need my what I'm addicted to. So they'll come around and, you know, ruin your life and still keep coming around like nothing. And they'll use you as supply. They're like, oh, your life's not together. Okay, I'm going to go over here now. While they're here with this person, they're sending messages to people from the past. They're constantly searching for that high. You know, it becomes a high to them. This is why if they reach out to someone from the past and this person tells them how they feel, their addiction starts to feel like, oh, you know, I really need this person. Now they're re-idolizing you, and they're thinking that they need you, that they crave you, that they miss you, that they love you. And now they're doing everything they can, and it's only because you responded to them, or you said something to them. You responded, you gave them energy. So now they're like, okay, I want to get high off of you. And this is why a lot of times they can have sex with you and you're back emotional, thinking about last time how they left you, but they're not even thinking on an emotional level. They're thinking, okay, I got what I wanted. You're talking about the past. I don't want to talk about the past. And okay, you're mad at me. I'll just leave. I'll leave you alone. I won't stop. I won't bother you anymore. I won't bother you anymore, you know. So this is it. Okay, have a nice life. I'm sorry, you know. Hope you get help. And they'll leave like nothing because it's just an addiction. They got their high and they're like, oh, you're still sad. You're still in the same place. There's really no supply to get from you. You're still here where I left you. You know, I'll come around the block, you know, later on. After a couple of months or years, I know you'll still be here. I'll contact you. I'm with someone else right now, you know. They're giving me the supply I need. You don't have anything to really offer, not more than them. So to them it's all about just supply, and they'll leave with someone else, and you know, they'll contact you, they'll treat you like you're nothing. Like you're just like, hey old friend. You know, and it's crazy because a lot of women and men, I've seen people keep contact with these type of people, their exes, and they believe that they're friends. They're like, oh, you know, me and him, we haven't slept in years. Oh, you know, me and her, we go back, you know, way back to, you know, back in the day. Like we're just friends. And they don't even know that the narcissist, you're feeding into their addiction. Even when they're talking to you about their new life, they might, you know, start talking about their relationship being bad, and you're fueling them to cheat. You're feeding into their addiction because just by them talking to you, that's fueling them. It's making them think about the times that they were with you. This is why most people will tell you to, you know, let go of the narcissist and go no contact, because they can't even admit to who they are. So they're addicted. I would rather trust someone who is on drugs and they're telling me, you know, that they're on drugs, than someone that is clearly on drugs and they're denying it. You know, I would rather deal with someone that wants help than someone that just is in denial. This is why they have children with people too, because they know you're not going to want to ever have anything to do with them because of them being hoes, basically, you know, because you tried to turn a hoe into a housewife and it didn't work out. So they know you're not going to want to do anything with them. So they'll have a kid with you just so that they can come around. And when they come around, it's feeding their addiction to think like, I left you with this baby. You've been struggling. Oh, and then when you move on and someone else is taking care of your kid, they're mad. Because they can't think of you in the way that they want to, because now someone else is on in that picture, and they weren't planning on picturing that. So they're upset. If you're dealing with a narcissist that's addictive, then you're dealing with a hateful person that, that can kill you over love, that can hurt you over love. They want you to live in a world where you're not behaving like the narcissist woman, because the narcissist woman, she acts like a hoe, but she gets men. And the empath doesn't act like a hoe, but will get the exact same treatment that a narcissist woman would get. And because you're dealing with a narcissist that doesn't rationalize, they don't care about taking it out on you. And you'll be single for years, forever, because the narcissist left you in that state of mind. Because the narcissist, and not just narcissists, but regular people, will feed into their addictions before they care about you. So you'll preserve yourself for years while all these narcissists are ruining everyone's life, because everyone else who's been hurt by these type of people are afraid to trust again. Because when these people put that mask on just to feed their addiction, they'll do anything. The narcissist came to my house crying, and I've never had seen a man cry like ever in my life. And I say this because a lot of men think that women go for the bad guys, and some of these guys really pretend. But when they were crying, I knew that they weren't crying for me. And the reason that they were crying, they claimed they missed me and they were going through a lot, and their mother had a stroke. And, they cried maybe 2 times while I was with them in a relationship. Most of the time it was just anger. And I instantly, thought to myself, you're not crying over your mom, because narcissists lie about their mothers, people having strokes. But I knew they weren't lying, but I also knew that that wasn't the reason. I remember looking at him, because I'm thinking, like, you don't care about no one but yourself. And you love your mom, but you have a hate-love relationship with her. And I knew it was kind of selfish to question, him being sad over her. But something told me that's not what it is. So when I asked him, he got super defensive, and he was like, how dare you say something like that? And I was just, thinking to myself, like, your mom didn't just have a stroke. It didn't just happen, and you weren't crying before, so why are you crying now? It's weird. The fact that you can talk to someone so nasty and then expect them to, wipe your tears, that whole concept was weird to me. Especially, knowing I went through a miscarriage, and the way they talked to me, how they basically wish death on my baby and things like that. So to me, it was like, you don't have remorse, so it's hard to feel sorry for you. It feels like you're lying. And, of course, I had to, go through my own rodeo to find out the hard reality about it. But they really do only care about their addictions. It hit me one day when they cried. It literally, my spirit felt it. And it was like God spoke to me. And I just looked at them, and I thought to myself, they're crying over someone else, and they look just like me, in pain over someone else. I told you guys, my grandmother was like, that man should be in jail. He was leaving notes on my car. He was going to my school. He was going to my job. When I graduated, he would go to my job. He just wouldn't leave me alone. He'll start driving by your house, and they're getting a high just by driving by your house, even if they're not talking to you. Like I said, I had to change everything in my life, numbers, emails, because every couple of months it would be like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what's up? And they get smart too. They're with the new supply, so they have to also make sure that they don't give enough information on that message so that you can trace it back to give the new supply information on them contacting you. So, even if they contact you, you're going to see that they won't say too much. It's more about, seeing you face to face. They're not going to get emotional on text messages or emails. They're not going to get emotional. It's going to be like a drug addict contacting you, to get a supply. They're just like, "Hey, what's up? Where are you at?" Like you're a bag of coke or something. There's just no emotional intelligence there. It's just pure addiction. You're running with a person that, you know, to them, they feel like that's what makes them who they are, and they're proud of it, and that's why it's dangerous being around those type of people. So I hope that this message on, you know, turning the narcissist hoe into a housewife and sex addiction was helpful for your healing, for you guys to understand, in order for you not to keep going back. Because I've seen cases where people even get HIV, and that's serious. I know someone that I care about that, their story is way crazier than my story. And, it's not a good look, especially if you're an empath and you're dealing with someone like that, because their addiction can get so bad that they know they have something and they don't care about giving it to you. And then if you catch it, they're going to blame you. They're going to say that you have it or you had it and you gave it to them. And they're going to tell their whole family, their whole friends before you even get the chance to do so. And they're going to lie to them. They're going to walk in super dramatic and yelling and making it seem like you did something to them, and their family is going to fall for it because they're so dramatic with it. So be careful with these people. You've been warned. Seriously. And I say that with the outermost love. I'm saying that because I really love and I care. And, I feel like if I can redeem myself, spiritually, from being with this person by educating myself, because these type of people, create a black hole inside of you where you just don't trust anyone after, dealing with someone like them, because while you're with them, you don't even know what's going on. You don't even have eyes to see. You're just so confused and you're stuck on love that you can't even tell this person's an animal. They're an animal, no emotion. It's just sex, shower, eat. That's it. Like sex, shower, eat. Money. Like no emotional intelligence there. So, if you guys want to book a session with me, my information's on the description. Just give me 24 hours. And if you guys are new to this channel, do not forget to subscribe, like, share, comment down below, share your thoughts and your experiences, and what do you guys feel about this, sex addiction with a narcissist? Do you believe that the narcissist can go months without sex? Like, just answer that. I know some narcissists don't have sex with certain people. That happens too, and it's because they might have a fantasy in their head and it has nothing to do with you. They might be into kids, they might be into men, they might, there's something going on. So I'm sending you guys lots of love, light, and peace, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Love you guys. Bye.